Welcome to the Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. As you may know, I'm a little under the weather. My voice kind of sounds a little weird. Please bear with me. I'm going to try to get through this show. Yes, this is episode 38. Without further ado, thank you for all the support. Let's just get right into it. We're going to go ahead and have this thread. What made you say do people actually do this? And then we're going to talk about the Love is Blind stuff. I've kind of been waiting on that. I was kind of just dealing with being sick and all that kind of stuff. And I'm shooting other shows as well. So sorry about me being like a week late on that. But we have our little breakdown. I have some videos and stuff we're going to watch, and we'll just go ahead and go over those. And then we're going to have an Am I the Asshole? We're going to have a pretty good one. But let's go ahead and just get into it. What made you say, do people actually do this? Stealing someone else's lunch from the fridge in the company break room. Yeah, that would piss me off too, especially if I'm like hungry and I brought something like delicious. I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed off. A job recruiter saying, I'll call you back, and not getting a call back even when they say something like, I'll call you back by Thursday. I want you to be ready to start working by then. And see, that's got to be tough, because especially if you're like in need for that job and you're like, oh, good, and you go buy stuff to get ready and you're like, all right, yeah, I'm all good. And then they never call you back and you're just like, what happened? And then you end up calling them and they're like, oh, yeah, no, we decided to go with somebody else. Sorry. And it's like, dude, if you were going to go with somebody else, you should have just told me that. Oh, my goodness. I work at a movie theater, and I'm in concessions. I sold this couple their items, and a hot dog happened to be one thing I sold them that night. The guy came back and claimed I just sold him a bun, no dog. My manager was the one who was handling the complaint and confronted the guy on why he was lying. There had been grease from the previous hot dog on that bun. He had tried saying I sold him no hot dog in. Like, why would you lie to get another hot dog? I would have understood if they dropped it, grabbed another one, and he really tried to say I sold it to him like that. People are low. Man, I used to deal with people like that all the time back when I worked in retail. But, oh, man. Okay, for me, I worked at a grocery store, Stater Brothers, and I worked in the meat department, and people would try to bring back moldy chicken talking about we sold it to them like that, or they just bought it. And then we checked the little tags. The tag's got the date on it, and the tag's got the date on it. And we look at the date and we're like, do you realize this was bought last year? It'd say the month was like August or something like that. It would be like August of last year. And we're like, come on, man. And sometimes I would be so pissed off because the managers would just be like, oh, just give it to him. And we're like, dude, seriously? Because then he's going to come back in here with some more moldy shit that we can't resell or anything like that with, and think it's okay. And then when he comes in and he deals with somebody that hasn't dealt with this, he's like, oh, I do it all the time. Oh, my... all my retail workers, that saying, and it boils your blood. I do this all the time. It makes you want to slap the taste out of their mouth. Swear to God, it makes you want to slap the fucking taste out of their mouth, dude. Oh my God. Might be not applicable, but these weird ass mobile game ads, I always wonder if anyone actually plays these games after these ads. That makes me wonder that too, because if I'm being honest with you, I do see those games where it's like stuff scrolls down and you have to like shoot the little thing, and if you shoot it enough times then you get the little upgrade or whatever. Those games don't really exist, do they? I always wondered if those games actually exist, because they kind of look fun. It's like if you actually made a game that actually played like that, I think people would actually buy it or would play it. It looks fun to me. I don't know. You let me know, because I'm like, I would actually play that game, if I'm being honest with you. Those videos where people are climbing insane structures without any safety line, I get sweaty palms just watching. Yeah, somebody being afraid of heights, such as I am, when I see people in those climbing videos and they're just doing it like it's nothing. They don't have a safety harness. They're not like hooking themselves. Like sometimes they'll like put a pin in the rock and then hit it and then like clip themselves to it and then keep climbing. They don't do that stuff. And I'm like, you're just asking to die. You're asking to die. I remember a long time ago, I think 2014, 15, something like that. There was this Chinese guy who climbed skyscrapers and he slipped and he fell like 200 stories or something like that and just died and was just done. He had all this clout and everything from doing it and then just died. Like, oh, couldn't be me, brother. Couldn't be me. Let's see. Oh, and we talked about this too. We talked about this in a previous episode. I don't remember what number episode it was. It was the episode where dude got his junk pierced 30 times. My God. But this guy says Prince Albert piercings. Somebody told me about it. A hoop earring through the penis hole and out from the bottom of the penis head. At a bar, a friend came back with pee on his pants. We made fun of him. He said he couldn't help it because of his piercing. We didn't believe him. Then he showed us. He said, what do you mean, man? I got 2 holes in my penis. I'm like, get out of here, dude. You ain't got 2 holes in your penis. He just whips it out in the bar. like, no, look, dude. Man, what is up with dudes getting their junk pierced? Like, why? For what? I wonder the reason for that. You know, I mean, ponder on this question with me. Please, in the comments, ponder on the question with me. Comment, why do you think dudes get their junk pierced? For what reason? You're going to take the most sensitive part of your body and you're going to run a fucking rod through it? Like, what are you doing? How do you get to that point in life, you know, where you're so bored you have to do something like that? I don't know. Please ponder the question with me. Just throw it anything out there. Throw anything out there. Like, oh, maybe they want this, or maybe this, maybe that, or you maybe know somebody. Let me know. All right, this one's going to be a pretty big one. I live near a major city and don't go into town central often. I don't like crowds. I have to go one day and I have a phone call I had been waiting for, so I stood in a doorway when I answered. I wasn't really paying attention at first, but there was a man on the floor nearby who was just writhing around like a zombie on the floor, and his arms and legs just twisted around in such a painful way. He was groaning and his eyes were all the way back. I was frantic when I saw him. I sat with him and talked while I called an ambulance, but what really got me was when I looked up, there was 4 or 5 people filming him and me on the floor with him. I didn't know what to do except try to reassure him that help was coming. I was gutted. This poor guy had taken so much of whatever it was, and he was in hell and was panicking and was struggling to breathe. They kept filming while we were waiting. A lady came over, told the filmers to fuck off, and told me she was a nurse and she took over. The paramedics arrived quickly and they took him. I still wondered about that guy and wished he was well. People filming others in their weakest and darkest moments for clicks and views disgust me, especially in a medical emergency. The nurse told me it was probably spice and that she sees it a lot. Holy shit. Apparently, bro was having an allergic reaction to something and he's just, and nobody's helping dude out. They're like, oh, dude's dying. Oh my God. Like, and he's the only one trying to help dude out. I mean, I don't know what much he could do in that kind of situation. Obviously, thank God the nurse chick came and was just like, I got you, fam. But yo, some people are just terrible. Like, at least call 911, something, you know, you call 911, okay, we're on our way, then you can be a dickhole and film, but you're just going to go straight to filming a dude who is literally dying. Wow. Okay. Damn. I worked in a veterinary field for years and received switching to working in a criminal justice job where I regularly supervise felons. Multiple people have commented how it must be such a difference from the working with puppies all day to working with felons. And they're floored to find out that I get yelled at less in this job than I ever did in vet med. People are downright nasty to their veterinarian team, and this really shocked people, and I don't think they believed me at first. Be nice to your animal veterinarian team. I shouldn't have to get a sigh of relief by working with felons. Wow. She's like, nah, I'd rather work with these degenerates than working with these people, and their animals. I get it. Your animal's sick, and you want them to make the animal feel better, I guess. Or maybe they don't see what the doctors are doing as humane to the animal, I'm guessing. Because you have to understand, like, when they need to draw blood, to test, to see what's wrong, or, they have to maybe give the animal an uncomfortable shot, or, they have to do like hydration. So they'll, inject them with a needle and put water into them. It is uncomfortable to see, and it sucks and it hurts. And, I'm sure your animal feels uncomfortable. And so people look at it like, why are you doing that? But it's like, you have to let them do what they're going to do. They're not here to hurt your animal any further or to make them any sicker than they already are. If anything, they're trying to help, and they're trying to be helpful, like I get it. And that's upsetting, but man, I cannot believe she's like, I worked with felons and I get yelled at less. Like, bro, wow. Man, okay. Spelunking. Hey guys, I'm currently in Makawaka Peepoo Caverns. Okay. 25 miles under the surface, and in order to get through this 6x6 inch opening, I'm going to have to dislocate both my arms. A little earlier, while I was sinking through, I think a spider crawled up my butt and started laying eggs, but that's all good. I love doing what I love. See you guys and have a blessed day. This dude's dead. This guy is dead. You have to dislocate both your arms to get out? Bro, you're dead. Stop. He posted that knowing it was going to be his last post. Like, bro, why do people do this? They're just like, oh man, look at that cave. It's cool. I'm going to go in there. And then they go as far as they can and they're like, no, this is not the end of the cave. There's a tiny hole right there. We can squeeze through that. And it's like, what the? I couldn't do it. My claustrophobia would be killing me. I would get up to there and be like, nah, I'm not going through that. I'm going home. This was fun. This was great. I enjoyed it. Saw some shit. Did a little shit. I'm going home. I'm done. People who cave splunk and all that kind of stuff, you men are wild. Wild. I would never in a million bajillion years do it. I don't understand why you guys do that stuff. I wonder what thrill they get from it. You know what I mean? Because it's not like it's an adrenaline sport. You know what I mean? Like bungee jumping or skydiving or zip lining and stuff like that. They're very adrenaline based sports, and I could see why they're addicting. But with cave splunking, is it just the fact that you guys are doing stuff that not a lot of people do and that's what's exciting to you? Or is it the fact that like you might die and that's exciting? Because might die is not exciting to me. That's not exciting to me. Might die is fucking scary to me. No thank you on that. I'm good. No, fuck that shit. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it at all. No. Claustrophobia would kick in, bro. Seeing people go to bed with their shoes on. Let's talk about that, because who the fuck here goes to bed with their shoes on? Yeah, I'm looking at you. Do you go to bed with your shoes on? Because if you go to bed with your shoes on, you have something mentally wrong with you. I mean, even when I come home plastered drunk, I still take my shoes off. Sure, I'm sleeping in like my shirt and jeans, but I have my shoes off. Who the fuck sleeps with their shoes on? And how do you sleep with your shoes on? That would be very uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And then it sucks because now it's like you got all that dirt and grime in your bed, and I bet you wake up and you're just pissed because now you got to wash the whole bed because everything you've been walking on all night is on your bed. Like, fuck's wrong with you? What are you doing? Oh my God. All right. Let's see. Let's oh, okay. Having a second child when their first one has a long life disability so that they can take care of their sibling later in life. My jaw hit the floor, but everyone around me acted as if this is a common thing people do. Am I the asshole? How can you dictate what your child will do later, especially if it's burdening them with someone so significant? How do you believe it'll just magically work out? And most of all, no one thought this was selfish and a little crazy. That is kind of crazy. Like, say you have your first child and your first child has a mental illness or something that is wrong with them. And so they're like, fuck, I don't want to take care of this kid, well into his adult life. So let's have another one. So that way, when this kid gets 18, then they'll just take care of this one and then we'll be scot-free. Whoa. Like that, some people do that? Yo, that's fucked up. That is fucked up. Dude, that's so fucked up. I can't believe people do that. They're just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have a second kid. They may even have a third kid. Like, oh, well, let's have a third kid just in case the second kid doesn't want to take care of the first kid. Then we got to back up to the backup. Oh, baby, let's do it. Like, what? Are there people doing this? Like having kids just to have their kids take care of their kids because they don't want to take care of their kids. Like, bruh. I mean, it's tough enough, going through the process of like growing up and all this kind of stuff. And then, school and, you know what I mean, internet or bullying or whatever, just, them having that mental illness, whatever it is, it's like now they're into their adulthood and it's like you want to put that responsibility on your other child. Like, man, I didn't think people actually did that. Wow. Let's see. Ooh, sorry guys, I am under the weather, but I'm going to try to get through this episode for you guys. Let's see. I'm going to try to find like 2, maybe 3 more of them. The popularity of obviously fake scripted clips, videos. How do people actually enjoy watching that? I just can't wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around that either because I see those videos all the time. The gold digger pranks, and it makes no sense to me because I'm like, you guys know these are fake, right? And even like these prank channels, like, these are fake, right? I mean, obviously there are some people who genuinely don't know they're fake because then they turn and make real prank channels and they get shot like that one guy did. It was kind of a big thing. There was this guy who was making a prank channel and he was like antagonizing or being annoying to this, what was it? I think it was a DoorDash driver at a mall and he shot him in the stomach. You know what I mean? Because he was being that annoying. He shot him in the fucking stomach. Or people who go to Walmart and, they throw crap at people and stuff. Like, guys, it's fake. I wonder why people enjoy watching it. I mean, I guess because they can think it's real and, laugh to it, or I guess it's funny in a way. It's like, I guess you can put it down to the way sitcoms are funny. It's all scripted, it's all fake, but it's funny still. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where they're going with it. It's more sitcom funny than anything. But I could see it from that side as somebody who knows it's fake. But I think people who don't know it's fake, they're like, oh my God, this actually happened. Oh my God, these are real people, And it's just like, no, they're not real. Sorry. And then when you try to tell them that it's not real, they're like, no, it's real. It's real. What are you talking about? It's real. And you're like, okay. All right. Oh, man, this one's gonna... Ooh. You guys ain't gonna like this one. But believing in the flat earth theory. Yes. Believing in the flat earth theory. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts about that in the comments, because I read every comment. You may not believe that, but I read every single comment. You can even look at some of my most popular posts. I actually put a like on all the comments to let you guys know that I read the comments. I don't care if it's a negative comment. I don't care if it's a positive comment. I don't care if it's a comment that's not about the scenario, whatever. I read the comments, and I put a like on there just so you know I read the comments. And just so you know that I'm in the comments and I read them all the time. And I want to know you guys' thoughts on the flat earth. Me personally, I think the earth is round. I don't see a way of how it's flat. I really don't. The fact that I can, go west to Japan and I can fly east and eventually I'll hit Japan. You know what I mean? It makes no sense that people are like, it's flat. And it's like, what? What? This makes no sense. Like, if the earth was flat, don't you think time zones wouldn't exist? If anything, we'd probably have less time zones than we would, because obviously it's flat. The sun would go like that, wouldn't it? So obviously, yeah, by the time the sun gets here, it's a little dark here, but at the same time, then that means we would have 3 time zones, but we don't have 3 time zones. We have tons of time zones, probably over 100 time zones. So it's like, help me out here, explain it a little bit. Some people like to take the biblical approach of like the ice walls, which come on, that's a load of BS if I'm being honest with you. But hey, you never know. I want to know you guys. I'm trying to stay a little neutral here, but you guys know, you can tell me I'm wrong. I think the earth is round, but if you think it's flat, you tell me why. Like I said, I'm in the comments. I want to hear it. This is going to be a clip. I want to hear it. All right, let's see. Some people actually shower with their clothes on? Okay, I'm going to choose not to believe this one. Because I don't think that's true. I mean, maybe it's a thing where it's like you are so drunk you just forget. I mean, I've gotten in the shower with my socks on before, As you guys know in previous episodes, I wear socks all day, every day, 24/7. So, it was kind of just like I was naked and I'm like, all right, cool, time to get in the shower. And then I'm in the shower and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And I had to take my soggy socks off. But with your clothes on, all right. I don't choose to believe that one. I don't choose to believe that one at all. Let's see. We're going to do this last one here. My neighbors recently bought a beautiful corgi. They kept him outside on a chain all day, every day. The only shelter he has is an old boat that they've made a makeshift tent with for him to crawl under when it rains. It blows my mind. All of our pets are rescues. Why pay for a pet when you can get one for free or for a low cost through a shelter? Why have a dog if you're just going to make it live outside with a choke chain around its neck? Mind boggling. One of these days, I might just liberate the poor dog and find him a good home myself. They don't even go out to pet him. Aw. I don't understand why people are so shitty to animals. Like, why do you have an animal if you're going to be so shitty to the animal that you have? You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, if you're going to hit your animal because it's being an animal, like, dude, why do you have a dog? Why do you have a cat? Like, why do you have an animal at all? Like, you're the type of person who needs to be alone. You need to be by yourself and stop sitting here and trying to take care of another living thing. You know, it's like people don't understand how to really take care of animals and how animals really perceive the things that they do, because you have to understand, if your dog shits on the floor, if you catch him in the act of shitting on the floor, yes, you reprimand the dog right then and there, because it knows, okay, I did this action and this was the reaction. But if you find the shit on the floor later on, and then you try to hit the dog for that, the dog is just like, what did I do? What did I do? It's not going to correlate that. Dogs just don't work that way. They don't correlate that way. Animals don't correlate that way, whether it's a dog or a cat. They don't work that way. You kind of have to catch them in the act. I mean, sure, yeah, you could show it to them, and be like, no, but they're not going to understand that. They're just going to be like, oh, yeah, that's where I did that. No, what do you mean? They're just not going to understand that. You kind of a lot of times have to catch them in the act in order for it to really affect them. It has to be an action reaction kind of thing. And honestly, a lot of people don't want to do that. They just look at it like, I'm just going to take my anger out on this dog. And it's like, dude, and then if you're the type of person that has nice furniture and all that kind of stuff, why do you have an animal in general? Why? Why do you have an animal at all? If you have a $4,000 couch and, you have a lot of fragile stuff around and vases and whatever, why do you have an animal around? You're stupid at that point. You know what I mean? Because all you're doing is just neglecting that dog. Like, come on, man, or the cat or whatever. So, I don't know. That to me just makes no sense, and that's kind of stupid in my opinion. It's like, why in the hell do you have animals? Ay. But that's going to go ahead and end that thread. I wanted to go through that thread because it was a pretty interesting thread. People do some weird stuff, and they believe some weird stuff. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to talking about Love is Blind, the season finale, as well as the reunion. I can't wait till after the altar. We will cover the after the altar, but we're going to go ahead and cover like the last episode and the reunion. I'm going to cover a little more of the reunion more than the last episode. The last episode we already know. Stacy said no to Izzy. We knew that was going to happen. Milton and Lydia, they actually got married. I was like, let's go, baby, because if you remember in my previous episode that I did with them, or talking about them individually, I was telling you Milton is that guy, and Lydia knows that if she want to keep that good man, she need to act right. And what was she doing at that reunion? That bitch was acting right. And even when they did the little filming of them throughout the year and a half of being married together, she was acting right. Why was she acting right? Because she knew she had that Milton was that guy. All right. She knew that Milton was that guy. But there was something I saw on TikTok, and we're going to watch that together. It's the interviews of like their thoughts on how everything happened and everything. So we're going to go over the videos. I think there's like 7 videos. They're super short. They're all like 3 minutes long. So we're going to watch each one, and then we're going to kind of talk about them. So I'm going to switch you guys over right now. The first one is with JP and Taylor. And so we'll watch the video, then we'll talk about it.
I think that JP and I, that lack of communication ruined everything. The not being able to like validate my feelings, or I don't even like tell me he loves me, tell me he cares about me. Like there was nothing there. If we touched, it was because of me. If we talked, it was because of me. And then belittling me and making me feel less than. I think that was an excuse, because how do you ruin your whole entire relationship due to makeup? When I didn't wear makeup the entire time in Mexico.
I think a big thing for me that was awkward, I didn't expect that being in front of a camera was going to be so nerve-wracking and cause me to kind of shut down. And I think that we both just weren't right for each other. Personally, I think that the whole makeup thing is just my personal preference, and that was probably a little bit my fault that I let that kind of get in the way of everything and kind of derailed everything.
I broke things off in Mexico because when I tried to fix it day 1, there was no fix. When I tried to fix it day 2, there was no fix. When I tried day 3, there was no fix. There was just never a fix. And he wasn't trying. He wasn't giving me anything to go off of. And so for me, that's not a relationship. That's not 100%, 100%. Like I was giving, he wasn't, and ultimately that's why I left.
I wasn't really shocked when she broke things off because it was kind of multiple days of us arguing and not getting along and nothing was changing. So it was probably time that we went our separate ways anyway.
I think.
All right. And I talked a little bit about JP and Taylor's relationship on the previous episode that I did when I was talking about Love is Blind. I wanted to mainly focus on the couples in that episode, but obviously here we're going to focus on just kind of everybody. Taylor, I think she did everything right. You go, girl. I love you, man. You know, and I'm glad that even in the reunion, she was just like, I found somebody, I'm talking to somebody, this and that. And she moved on from that dude because I don't think it was the cameras. I don't think it was him being nervous. None of that shit. I think that was all excuses and that was all BS. And he knows that. He knows that 100%. He didn't find homegirl attractive and he just didn't want to be in that relationship. He was like, the physical is not there. You know, and people try to hang on to his words and, oh, it was the makeup and, oh, it was this. And I get it, man. If you have your preferences and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. But, I mean, you guys saw her, you know, and how she looked in the reveal and how she looks even now on this video. It's like she's a very beautiful woman, regardless of makeup or not. She was a very beautiful woman. And you guys had a connection in the pods. Everything was moving and grooving and it was solid. But you fucked it up so bad, and I think he just didn't want to take accountability on that. He didn't want to own up to it and be like, I don't find her attractive, and that's that. And I can tell you, he probably regretted it seeing her at the reunion. He was probably like, whoa, man, she's looking good, you know. And I get it. Some guys, you know, they sit there and they're like, oh, I don't like the fake lip fillers and this and that and so on and so forth. I understand that to a degree, but those are things that can change. You know what I mean? Yeah, like she can stop doing these certain things and start doing these certain things. And you know what I mean? And vice versa. He can stop doing certain things and he can start doing things for her. But I just think it was the fact that he wasn't attracted to her at all. It was a thing where he didn't, he just didn't like her. If I'm being honest with you, I feel like he just didn't like her. That's how I'm going to take that, man. Okay. So we're going to go into my favorite couple, my man Milton. I love you, dog.
I mean, it was awesome. I believe it's like the best thing ever.
Honestly, a little easier than I thought.
Yeah. I think it hasn't been that different. Like, I think we have always been our true selves on camera and not off camera.
Yeah, I think, there really isn't a difference.
Well, there's nobody else to make jokes with because we're
we're just making jokes on each other, I guess.
Yes.
I think it's hard to compare Uche and Aaliyah's relationship to mine and Lydia's. I wasn't there. I don't know what they talked about. I don't know what they really experienced, but I know Lydia and I got to know each other on a very deep level, on a very vulnerable level. And truthfully, I'm not really sure why they couldn't get past that. It's unfortunate that they didn't get their happy ending.
I would have to say, like, getting past the drama, it's like you just decide that you're going to put your best person forward. I mean, like, your best self forward and close that chapter. I think I cannot speak to for them. And I'm not willing to do that. I can only speak from my relationship with my husband. Mm-hmm. And we decided that was not going to be an issue in our relationship because we all have a past. It just happens that mine was right there.
there was that party. Things got pretty heated with Uche and a few other cast members. I just kind of choose not to act that way. I kind of hold myself to a different standard. I definitely don't believe any of the things Uche said. You know, we're not friends. We're not peers. I let him speak his truth, whatever he wanted to speak. That was fine. I gave him that respect. But that doesn't mean I had to listen.
I have to say, like, I will always have respect and care for Aaliyah. I know I always have like a great place in my heart. However, today we just stand as cordial and acquaintances. Our friendship is no longer there, and I always wish her the best.
I don't have any regrets with the way I handled anything. I got my happy ending. I found my wife. Everything else. It's the only thing that matters.
For me, I have to say, if I have done things differently, maybe I have not ended up where I'm at today. And I do know, and I'm going to reiterate, everything that I did say or acted was genuinely with the purest and hardest, pure heart intentions, with no ill intentions. And I'm a passionate self, so I am happy where I am today, and it got me to finding my perfect match.
They so cute together. I love them, man. I'm so glad that they got married, and I knew they were going to. Everybody was just like, nobody's getting married this season. Lydia's going to say no. Milton's going to say no. Nah. I knew it from the get-go. Milton's that guy, bruh. Milton's that guy. And like I said, it's funny because these two in the pods, I didn't like them in the pods because with Lydia, I just feel like Lydia was constantly she was very self-centered. She always loved to talk about herself, and it was just me all the time. You know what I mean? And then Milton, I didn't really like in the pods because he just seemed like a very awkward guy. He didn't seem like he could carry a conversation with a woman. You know, all the other girls, you know, looked at Milton and they were just like, he's a cool guy, but no. And, you know, the conversation's this and that and blah, blah, blah. You know, it just didn't seem like nothing flowed for Homeboy. And then at first, you know, I had thought that Lydia was clinging to Milton just because of the fact that, like, she didn't want to see Uche, you know, happy with somebody, and then she's not, you know, and I thought that, and then as the episodes went on and everything, I was just like, no, she's actually warming up to this guy, and then I could start to see Milton in the way he is with a woman, and I think a lot of the girls kind of regret, you know, not maybe giving Milton a shot just because it's like his maturity level through the roof. Like I said, he's 24, but with the mind of a guy who is really like 35, if I'm being honest with you. You know, he thinks things out very logically. You know, he thinks before he speaks. He has a very sound, collected mind. You know, just even in the interview here, like, it just really seemed like he was the type of dude that said, I'm going to, you know, collectively think about, you know, each thing that I say. And I, you know, at the same time, I don't want to throw shade on nobody because we all went through the same crazy experience. Even when he was talking about Uche, you know, and how shitty he was being after the pods and stuff. Because Uche was the reverse. Like, Uche was the type of dude in the pods. I was like, my guy, you know, but then outside of the pods, he was just a dick. And it was like, for what, brother? You know, like, he wanted to prove that Lydia followed him there so bad. And it was like, bro, get over it. So what if she followed you? So what if she didn't? So what if she was doing all this shit on Instagram? Who cares at this point? Get over it. You know what I mean? Like, it was so tough to see that. I'm like, dude, you're just creating drama for no reason. And then, you know, he was a super dick to Aaliyah, if I'm being honest with you, outside of it. During the pod situation, I kind of understood because I'd be upset if Aaliyah left as well. I'd be like, what the fuck, Aaliyah? Why'd you leave? You know, like, it's me and you. Let's get to the engagement part. Let's, you know, focus on just us, and then all the other crap we can deal with later. You know what I mean? Like, I totally got where he was coming from with that part. And I understand, it was a lot for her, and that experiment was crazy. And, Lydia was in one ear and then he's in the other ear, and she doesn't know what to do. And it sucks because they were extremely, like, I would say, very opposite. Like, Lydia saying one thing about Uche, and then Uche is saying another thing about Lydia, and then, and she's like, I don't see that about Lydia, but he's telling me that, and then she's telling me this about Uche, but I don't see that with him. I could totally understand, and I believe we will get to one with him, or with Aaliyah, I'm sorry, and she'll kind of give her side about it, and we'll talk about it then. But Lydia and Milton, I just feel like they came from the I don't know, they did it, they did it. And like I said, Milton's that guy, and you guys didn't believe me, it's okay, it's all right, you didn't want to believe me, it's all good, fuck you too. No, just kidding. All right, so we're gonna get into Stacy and Izzy.
24 hours, maybe 48 hours before the wedding, I knew I was going to say no. It was time that I was trying to take to process after a lot of information came out where it wasn't good, and I was set on one thing. Then this wrench gets thrown in, and it's like, can I recover from this? And it's like I had no reassurance and no time. So it was this like circulating process in my head for probably 48 hours up to the wedding where it's like, this isn't good. It wasn't, do I say yes, do I say no? But then it's like when I'm heading into my wedding, if that's where my brain is at, I'm not saying yes. I should not feel like that. And it was so sad because it's like, you want that fairy tale. You want everyone to be excited. You want that story of like, look at how this happened. And it was just a bummer. But I think it was a blessing in disguise that it came out the way it did, because it made me realize there are a lot of things that we haven't covered. Or there's a lot of things that we're just on different pages as far as what we see as like alarming or important, or things that you should absolutely share and be open with when that opportunity presents itself. So I know I was going to say no. Day, maybe 2 days before.
When I was at the altar and she told me no, I was hurt. I didn't know if she was going to say yes or no, so part of me kind of expected it. In that moment, I still just wanted to support her because it wasn't the time for her, but I was also feeling just really hurt and sad because I did want to marry her at the same time.
It was honestly shocking seeing how hurt he was, because we talked on the phone the whole night before the wedding, and it was a lot. That was a long night. I don't think I slept at all. And he was breaking down the night before the wedding. I was worried he was even going to show up, and I'm like, if you don't want to show up, I've got this. I will address it to everyone. I've got your back. It was just a mess. I think we were both just trying to get through it, and so we were on autopilot up through where we kiss at the end, where everyone's like, oh, they're fine, and there is a switch that flips, and I think he had the opportunity to probably have an interview and really be like, wow, like that didn't happen, and all of the feelings where he was so upset, and it killed me to see that. I bawled my eyes out. That's the hardest part, is like the difference of doing what's best for you and trying to make your partner happy. And it's like someone was going to lose.
You know, Stacy told me no, she wanted to keep pursuing things for me, but it was just devastating. You know, been engaged once. This time I make it to the altar and then I get the no. Yeah, it was devastating because, you know, been engaged once and, you know, I didn't even get to have a wedding, and then I get engaged again and I go to the altar. And it's just like, yeah, like I didn't get the happy ending that I thought. And then knowing that she still wanted to work, it's just like we were taking steps backwards, and that hurts. It's like, how are you going to go this far and then come all the way back?
Yeah. Oh, and I love that Stacy said that 24 to 48 hours, she knew she was going to say no. If you guys remember the scene where Izzy writes the note for her. His best man walks in and is just like, I got a special note for you. And she reads the note and it's all cute. And she's like, that's what I want, blah, blah, blah. And she's sitting in the chair, mind you. And she's kind of like doing a little bit of this, with the note. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God, she already decided she's going to say no. She knew before she even got to the wedding venue that she was going to say no. And she admitted it just now, we heard. That to me is wild because, I mean, even when she was talking with her mom, they made a cut in there too when she was talking to her mom just about how like unreliable she felt he was, and how she felt like everything wasn't talked about and stuff like that. They made like this cut because she was getting so negative toward him that it was obvious that it was going to be a no. And you can tell they cut that and was just like, ooh, because she might have even said it to her mom, like, yeah, I'm probably going to say no. I think I've made my mind up that I'm going to say no. You know what I mean? And even mom was just sitting there like, what she said it verbatim, don't feel bad if you say no because, at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you, blah, blah, blah. On Izzy's side of it, I'm hats off to him, man, because he did his thing. He showed up. He had a good heart. He wanted it. I'm glad that he didn't continue to date her afterward. I'm so glad for that. Reason being is because it's like, dude, if you couldn't, accept me for my flaws and the things that I'm going through right now, you're not going to be able to accept me in the future. You know what I mean? And I think that I'm just not the person for you. It sucks. It is what it is. And I give it to Izzy on that one. He was being a man right there. All the crying and shit he did, I'm like, hey, you still a bitch nigga for that. But as far as, how you handled it afterward, I'm glad you did it. You didn't bust a fucking Chris. And we're going to get to that, whack ass nigga. But, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm so glad that he didn't date her afterward. He kind of just stuck to his word, did his thing. And as you guys saw in the reunion, he tried a little thing with Johnny, and that didn't work out, which I don't think he should have even tried it with Johnny. I think he just saw Johnny and was like, damn, that's what Johnny looked like. Man, I might want to break me off a little piece of that cake. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think his dick was talking on that one. But if I'm being honest with you, hey, Johnny was looking good at the thing. And it was funny because you can see, if you watch it back, when Johnny walks out, he's like, whoa, damn, Johnny looking good. And then when Johnny talks about like being with somebody, he's like, oh, he has like this look on his face that is just like, oh man, you're with somebody now. I felt so bad for him, but he said he's talking to some girl. So, hopefully with the whole cooking class situation thing. So hopefully it's working out for him, man. Yeah. Oh my God. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into Johnny and I believe Chris. It might just be Johnny. I don't know. We'll see.
At the time, I felt like I had a stronger emotional connection to Izzy because he was more like a repeat of my patterns in the past. And I do have trouble dating more than one person at once. I want to like zone in on someone and give it my all. So I think I felt like I was doing the right thing. But I wish I hadn't foreclosed myself to other connections because I think if things would have played out that Chris and I would have ended up together in the end. So when Izzy cut things off with me, I really did replay both relationships in my head, and I realized that Izzy and I had this push-pull, whereas Chris, it was organic. Like, we laughed, we talked about what we wanted, we had a lot of similar values. We were both looking for people we could depend on. We wanted to integrate our families. He made me laugh, and I think you see that a lot through the screen. And mostly I wanted to apologize, but I did want to see if there was a chance for us to pursue our connection. So whenever we ended things in the pods, we were taken to the airport, and I'm in the car on the way to the airport, and I hear ding, and I look, and I had a Facebook message from Chris, and it said, oh, we have 3 hours for waiting at the airport. Do you want to get lunch? And I said, so much for space, because he had just asked me for space in the pods. So I get to the airport, I go through security, I'm going up the escalator, and I get to the top, and he's waiting at the gate, and we lock eyes, and it's like a movie moment. It was just like all those feelings came rushing in. You could tell we both still felt the connection, and walked up to him. We got lunch, and I think it progressed organically. Like all those feelings were still there in person, and we just kept dating from that point on. I don't know if I'll ever really understand what happened at the barbecue. I think maybe there was a lot of talk going around that he was listening to, and he didn't see my real character. But I don't think I'm sketchy as I think I've made some mistakes and maybe some overgeneralizations where I didn't explain my past well when I was talking to both of them. But I don't agree with the things he was saying about me.
Oh man. Yeah. You know, let's break it down from when she was talking about Chris and Izzy. I called it, because I'm that great and amazing, that, you know, everybody sat there and thought like, oh, Izzy is like her pattern or whatever. You know, she always chooses guys like Izzy. And it's like, no, she always chooses guys like Chris. And she obviously went on the show for something different. You know what I mean? She wanted something different. She wanted a different experience. She felt like what I was doing wasn't working. You know what I mean? And I think that that's why she chose Izzy over Chris. And then obviously when things ended with Izzy, you know, she really wanted, you know, Chris back, because she was just like, well, damn, I fucked up. And it is messed up how she went about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to bad talk her or nothing like that. I don't, you know, enough people are doing that. I just want to sit here and say that what she should have did is she should have kept Chris and hers relationship open for the possibility, and then seen shit through with Izzy, tried to get a definite out of Izzy, you know, and be like, look, man, you know, I have multiple connections right now. Izzy, are you for me? You know, do you want this with me? And then Izzy would have told her like, no, I have another stronger connection. This is not. And then she could have went to Chris, and Chris wouldn't have felt like second fiddle. You know what I mean? And so that, I think, is where she went wrong the biggest. And obviously, you know, she said what she said, you know what I mean? She tried to play the whole pattern thing and all that. I understand that. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think that she had a sweetheart about it. She had, you know, the right intentions in mind. At the barbecue, I felt like she was getting attacked like crazy. I've already said it previously that, you know, Izzy and Stacy were being very cringy about that whole situation. You didn't have to do that. You guys could have just let it be what it was going to be, had a good time, caught up with everybody. As far as me, if I was Izzy, I would obviously be asking Chris, yo, how did this patent, you know, how did you guys do that? You know, what's going on? And got information like that, of course. But then after that, I would have let it go. You know what I mean? Like, dude, if I was Izzy, like, look, I'm with Stacy, you're with her, you do your thing, you be happy, I'm gonna be happy over here. You guys didn't really need to do all that. Now, as far as Stacy and her and Johnny's whole quarrel, I think it was kind of dumb, you know, because I feel like Stacy just would come out of left field and attack her for no reason. Now, if she said some things that she said, then okay, you know what I mean? It is what it is, but at the same time, you know, it's like, it's two girls fighting over the same guy. So it's going to get a little sticky. It's going to get a little messy. So, you know, that is what that is. As far as like her being with Chris and stuff like that, I can see why it didn't work out, because Chris, I'm sure, always felt like I'm second fiddle. You know what I mean? He never felt like I was the first option. I was the first choice, that you actually want to be with me. And I'm sure Johnny tried super hard to make him feel that way, but I think it was just in the back of his mind all the time that I'm second fiddle. You know, that anytime they get into a fight, it's like, oh, well, you really wanted to be with Izzy, so you didn't want to be with me anyway. You know what I mean? And I feel so bad for her and the way that she got broken up with by Chris. That dude is a dick. He is such a douchebag. And, you know, he tried to sit there and justify it. Oh, well, I have this really bad habit of not telling people bad ideas. No, you're a piece of shit, bro. Shut up. You honestly don't even deserve the girl that you're with. And I'm surprised that girl is even like with him. I hope she doesn't know that he just left Johnny and didn't even say anything to her, you know, because think about it. If he's going to do that to Johnny, he could do that to the girl that he's with, you know, and then you're talking about, oh, I love her and I loved you and blah, blah, blah. You didn't love Johnny. Not one bit, bro. You were trying to love Johnny. You were forcing yourself to love Johnny. You didn't love her at all. You stopped loving her in the pods. What it was is he saw her at the airport and was like, yo, Aichi mama, you looking nice. I'm going to try to break me off a piece of that cake, if you know what I mean. That's what he was doing. And I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did break himself off a piece of that cake a few times and then was like, I'm second fiddle. I'm a dip. You know, I'm just saying that's just kind of the true nature and the mind of a man, sadly. So for all you ladies, you know, don't hate me. I'm just the messenger. Just saying. Because it's like, come on, bro. If he really loved her, if he really cared about her, he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have left for that wedding and then just met some other girl and then started a whole nother life somewhere else. If he truly loved her, he didn't love her at all. And I feel so bad for her. And I'm glad that she's with somebody and she's doing her thing. She's a gorgeous girl. You know, I think Izzy's super fucked up and he knew he did. You know what I mean? I think they would have worked out if he gave ample time away from Stacy. If he gave ample time away from Stacy, you know, because he said it was like a week or two after Stacy and them finished, then they met at the bar and then they're making out in his truck. And he just wasn't over Stacy. And I think if he was over Stacy, he would have definitely went with Johnny and they would have, you know, had a little thing going. But hey, you know, it is what it is, man. We're going to go on to the next person. We're going to go ahead and get into Aaliyah and Uche because this where the juice at right here. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Absolutely believe I made the right decision leaving Uche in the pods. I think there was just too much that we still needed to figure out as a unit. And I don't think we were just quite ready to get engaged. And I also just really wanted to protect my peace, and I think I did the right thing. I met up with Uche because I really wanted us to have a face-to-face adult conversation about the situation that we were in. And I was hopeful. I think, you know, he had kind of led with the idea that we could possibly try to work things out. But I also just wanted to put everything out there on the table and just, you know, try to see if the emotional connection we built in the pods was still salvageable. And, you know, things just kind of fall the way they do. The chips fall where they fall. And I'm okay with how things ended or how things happened between us. I wish Uche the best. I always lead with the fact that I feel like Uche's concerns were valid. I didn't share that in hopes that he would just be like, oh, great, let's continue on and get engaged. You know, I was hoping that me sharing that would open up more dialogue, that we could dive deeper into different topics. And it just didn't go exactly as I planned because, I mean, we had shared other things in the pods that were much, you know, on the same level as of depth as an infidelity in your past. And he received that pretty well, so I felt like, okay, maybe this would be something that we could dive deeper on. But yeah, it was interesting to find out that he had his own set of baggage as well. I, in the moment, even felt very judged and interrogated by him, and that was always the most hurtful part about that. But he was right to question. He was right to be concerned. I always wanted him and always told him that his feelings were valid in that regard. It was just that tone and that sort of aggressive nature that was a huge turnoff for me, and it was a red flag for me and very concerning, especially knowing what I want and need in a spouse. So yeah, I think that was just an interesting moment for our journey, and it was pretty telling for, I'm sure, him, but also me as well.
Oh, man. I'm surprised they didn't ask her any questions about how, you know, Lydia affected any of that stuff, because Lydia played a big part in their relationship. You know, I was very surprised they didn't ask anything about that, because Lydia, she played a huge part in their relationship, as far as like, you saw it on the clips in the reunion where, you know, Lydia's like, his house is dope as fuck and he's got a dog and this and that and da da da. You know what I mean? Like, she's openly like gloating about, you know, knowing and dating this guy and stuff like that. But I'm just going to react to what she said. But simply, I think she said it all, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, Uche and Aaliyah's relationship were very, very short, so there's not too much to talk about. Like she said, you know, his concerns were very valid and things like that. And I understand she is like, oh, you know, I like, you know, what he said and what we were talking about. It was just how he said it. And if I'm being honest with you, it doesn't matter how he says it. It's just the fact that he understands that we only have a short amount of time to really get to know each other and to really air out every single concern that we have. So I need to speed through this, you know, and a lot of times he's going to be a little aggressive about it. As far as the baggage and stuff like that, you know, you got to understand, man, everybody's going to have baggage and nobody is going to be perfect, and everybody's cheated on somebody and everybody has been cheated on, you know, by somebody. You know, you just have to understand that we're in that technological age where it's so easy to cheat and have options and to do all these kind of things. It's just the way it is. I'm not validating it. I'm just accepting that that's what it is. And a lot of times you have to accept that too. You know, a lot of people have to get into a relationship kind of understanding like, hey, it may or may not happen and it sucks, but you have to just do everything in your power that you can to negate it. And that's that, you know, and hopefully your partner is on, you know, on the other end is on the same side as you, you know, and wants that common goal. Some people do, you know, and then it kind of dwindles off, and some people do and it stays, and it's great. You know, I just feel like Uche did very well in the pods. You know, I feel like he attacked all the right questions and got the right answers. He really held her accountable to a lot of things that she did and made her feel like, hey, you know, I need to know everything, you know what I mean? Because she did it on the flip side, you know, and found out that he cheated on a girl before and stuff like that. And so, you know, it was just like their baggage was being aired out together and stuff. And he just, I feel, wanted to know everything, get everything out on the table, because when you're going to get engaged to somebody and then potentially married to somebody, you don't want to be in the engagement learning all of this stuff. And I think that's what fucked Stacy and Izzy up, where they didn't learn everything in the pods before the engagement. So then when they found out in the engagement, it turned out the way it turned out. And obviously from what we heard with Stacy, that's what it was. And so, you know, that's why she was so just decided on like, I'm going to say no. You know, obviously once Uche got out of the pods, you know, he was kind of just, he was being a little too much, you know what I mean? And it's like, she's super pretty, you know, she's a super gorgeous girl. And I hate that he kind of discounted her on her looks and, you know, things like that. And it's just like, dude, you know, go with the flow a little bit, you know what I mean? See how it would have went at least, because I think if he would have took the time to see how it went and would have thought about it as like, hey, I'm going to take the experience all the way to the end and really see how I feel about this girl, dude, I think people would be giving Uche a lot more flowers. But it's like nobody's giving Uche flowers because he decided to take the easy way out, man. You know, you honestly decided to pussy out and just say nah. And I get it. He feels like, oh, well, she pussied out first. You know what I mean? But it's like, why are you going to stoop down to a woman's level? What are you doing? You're the man. You know what I mean? Like, take this for what it is. But hey, if he felt like he didn't want to do it and he wanted, you know, his little 15 minutes of fame or whatever, hey, give it to him, man, you know, because it is what it is. I personally, I was glad he wasn't at the reunion, but I wanted him to be there because I really wanted his shit aired out because, I've been hearing some things. So let's just keep it at that, if I'm being honest with you. And so, okay, so we're going to get a little deeper into Izzy and Stacy.
A deal breaker that he wasn't forthcoming about the credit issues. There were more things that came up about finances all in one conversation. And I had asked him at least a week before that. It was an ongoing conversation. I was in therapy and we didn't have time to do premarital counseling. And I'm like, what do I need to cover? What are the bases I need to cover? And she's like, communication and finances. That's the number one reason people get divorced. You need to address that. And I'm talking, take out all the bank statements, highlight what you spend on. You need to see what your partner spends on all this stuff. And that was a constant conversation. But for some reason, he's like, yeah. There's nothing. And so then it was very, see, it's nothing. And I'm like, it wasn't just that. It was, hey, I started a new job. I'm 1099. I don't have benefits. It was one of those things. I know if you were to get in a car wreck the next day, I would be financially responsible for the both of us. That is a big deal. I don't know if I can do that. You don't have credit. I don't care if you have credit, but like, I don't understand why you don't have it. So when we get married and you take out a credit card, if you have a spending problem, that goes on me. None of that was addressed. Not a deal breaker, not a deal maker.
I definitely feel like the credit money was a big deal for Stacy, as far as like stability financially, and I think she just felt like she couldn't trust me because I kept it so long.
I didn't even.
Oh man, the money thing. And it's so funny how transparent Stacy is without being transparent, because she liked to backtrack a lot. Okay, let me be honest with you. She liked to backtrack a lot. And if I'm being honest with you, I'm going to break down this little womanese that she's got going on. Look, all the comments and concerns that she has, for Izzy and their relationship, totally valid. A woman should have these types of concerns. You know what I mean? Communication and finances are the hugest things in a relationship. Totally understandable. But you can tell that Stacy looked at it like, I have more to lose in this relationship than you do. And she looked at it like, I can't get married to somebody where if things don't work out, you're taking half of my shit. You see what I mean? Because you got to understand, when a lot of women get into marriages, they get into the marriages with the leverage of the man has more money. And so if he decides to do something, cheat, have a concubine, whatever he want to do, I don't feel happy in the relationship, I can leave knowing I can take half of his shit. And she knew she was not in that position. She's not in the position where if I'm not happy in this relationship, I can leave and take half his shit. All right. And then the second point of all of this is she doesn't want to be the breadwinner in the relationship. And she knows that she would have to be the breadwinner in this relationship. She doesn't want that. She's like, I want my man to be the breadwinner. I want him to take care of everything. If the car gets wrecked, he can take care of it. And she would just be like, oh, it's not, that he doesn't have credit, but it's like, why don't you have it? And it's like, if that wasn't a big deal, you wouldn't care if he had it or not. But he doesn't, and it is a big deal for you. And that's why she would say things and then backtrack it, and then say things and then backtrack it. And it's like, sweetheart, it's okay. It's all right. You come from a wealthy family, and I can guarantee you your dad told you, hey, don't fuck with broke bums. I'm just being straight with you. And I'm sure that she had a conversation with her dad, and even her dad was probably just like, look, I don't think you should go through with this marriage. I think you should say no at the altar because he is not the guy that can take care of you. When shit hits the fan and things get hard and, say he loses his job, whatever the case may be, he's going to feel like, oh, well, you have money, you can take care of it. Oh, you can, take care of the family, this and that, you know what I mean? And she looked at it like, ick, I don't want that. I don't want to be the breadwinner. I don't want to be the guy in the relationship. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. And that's okay. I understand she doesn't want to say that because she may look bad or she may feel like it's being harsh towards Izzy, but it's the truth. And I can guarantee you her dad, being the guy that he is, you got to understand, her dad is very wealthy. He's a very powerful man. He's got, I'm sure, a big successful business. And he looks at it like, I'm not going to let my daughter date a broke fucking bum. I'm not going to do it. I want a guy that is on her level or on my level at that or better. And I can guarantee you that is why Stacy knew 24 to 48 hours before the wedding that she was going to say no. Guarantee you she talked to her dad and was just like, hey, look, and I can guarantee you the scene where she's in her dress and she's looking into the mirror, right? And her dad walks in and, you know, she's like, oh, look at my dress. Oh, I look cute, da-da-da. And the dad, I think he already knew. I think the dad knew she was going to say no because he was the one to tell her, nah, you got to say no. Because I ain't trying to have you out here dating a broke bum. He's a great guy, and that's fine and all, but you know, a great guy is only going to get you so far. You know, a great guy will get you some coochie, but it's not going to get you a long-time relationship or marriage. It's just not. And I think her dad definitely influenced her choice on that because you got to understand, she comes from a family of successful people. And if she's with somebody who isn't as successful or successful to some degree, they're going to have some gripes about it. And they're going to tell her like, hey, this guy's just not for you, you know, and that's just what it is. And you can even tell by the way Izzy was talking about credit monies, you know, it's like, bro, you don't got it right now. You know, you just don't. And it's okay. It's all good. You know what I mean? Like, people don't have it sometimes. And it is what it is. There's sometimes I don't got it. You know, sometimes this guy doesn't got it. It happens. And you have to, I think Izzy should really just be focusing on himself, getting himself better. You know, you're already in shape. You're a good looking guy. Just get your money up, bro. You know, get your money up and you can find another Stacy. You can find a great girl like her, get engaged, get married, so on and so forth. So, you know, yeah, like I said, you know, she definitely, that was what she was really talking about when it came to the whole credit and money thing. You know, she looked at it like, oh, he has a steady job. You know, he can take care of me. No, he wasn't steady. He couldn't take care of her. And I think that's why she was like, no, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, we're going to get into the biggest douchebag of the reunion. Fucking Chris. This dirtbag right here. Can't stand this guy. I cannot believe what he did.
Johnny, after she came back, was a really tough decision. It was the first decision, the whole experience that I made with my brain rather than my heart. I wanted to be with Johnny more than anything, and it was just not the right time to make that kind of commitment. After the pods, Johnny and I met at the airport, actually, and it was just kind of an instant connection. It's a weird like emotion hearing somebody's voice and knowing that you've fallen in love with this person and you want to spend the rest of your life with this person, but you see them and your eyes are like, I don't, who is this? Just a stranger. And it's a indescribable experience. But I decided to try to rekindle things with Johnny in the real world after the pods because very rarely in life do you get that kind of connection with somebody. And to throw that away just because of someone thinking that another decision is better for them, that just didn't seem right in my head, and I wanted to explore the love that we had. Just after the pods and after so much stress and heartbreak and trying to figure out who you are and who the other person is, there's a lot of weight on that carries into a relationship. It's very difficult to move forward with. At the barbecue, when everything got kind of heated, Izzy and I had made a friendship, and so I wanted to hear him out. But anything that him or Stacy said just kind of rolled off my back. I was there for Johnny, and that's who I went to for guidance and trust. Yeah, I was very surprised with how Izzy and Stacy ended at the altar. I was rooting for them both. I love Izzy. Like I said earlier, we made a bond. We're good friends. It's heartbreaking. I feel for him. Saying no to.
I'm mad. I'm mad they didn't address what he did to her. Yo, slimy little mother boop you are. Okay. All right. Because this guy right here, he's Snake, man. He's Snake. Because, like I said, when he said that they reconnected in the real world and stuff like that, Man, he saw Johnny and probably wanted to get a piece of that cake, bro. He wanted to smash. He was like, damn, Johnny looking fine as fuck. Because you gotta understand, he hadn't seen Johnny until they met at the airport. Like how she said when she went up the escalator and he was there. That's the only time he saw her. That was the first time. So imagine, you've been talking to this girl, you don't know what she looks like to a degree, because obviously it was a Facebook message, so he probably saw her on Facebook or whatnot. But, you see her in person, and you're like, yo, okay, I'm going to see what this about, da-da-da, you know what I mean? And so, I just think he was just kind of playing Johnny, if I'm being honest with you. I do. I think he was playing with her. He didn't really like her like that. He was trying to love her. He was, forcing himself to be in this relationship, forcing himself to do these things to be in her life. You know what I mean? And it's just like, bro, let's be honest here. You weren't in love with her. You didn't really care about her. And, even in the barbecue thing, when all that stuff was going down, he was very neutral between it. Cause I understand, you're trying to keep homies with Izzy, but at the same time, your girl's getting tossed left and right, by two people who you thought were cool with you, and so, and I think that's why he didn't really fight for her that much, because he looked at it like, man, I don't even think this relationship is working out anyway because of what people are saying and this and that. And you know what I mean? And I think he just really got way too in his head and was just like, look, I'm already forcing myself to try to love this girl. So much shit is being said about her, about the pods and all this other stuff. And then on top of that, I feel second fiddle. So I'm just going to dip with this girl at this wedding and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I think it was just a sexual attraction thing. He saw her, was like, wow, she's beautiful. I'm going to give her a shot. I think if it was a thing where he didn't like her physically or find her physically attractive, I think he would have probably had the lunch with her, kept it at that and kept it pushing. I really do. Because he played the nice guy for so long, and then all of a sudden he showed his true colors, man. You ladies got it tough. You ladies got it tough out here, man. But that was the last interview for Love is Blind. I'm excited to see the After the Altar. Usually they do 1 or 2 episodes for After the Altar. They might not even do an After the Altar just because of the fact there was one couple that got married. And that was really it. I don't know. They may not. I'm going to keep a lookout for it. They didn't really say anything about an altar. They just kind of marketed, hey, be on the next episode. So we'll see from there. But we're going to go ahead and close the show out with Am I the Asshole? And so let's go ahead and get into it. Am I the asshole for catfishing my boyfriend? So I've had suspicions of my boyfriend cheating for a while now. He shows all of the signs. I have actually saw him texting other women, and I found condoms in his drawer. We don't use condoms. I told him about it, and he tried to gaslight me. He made up a ridiculous lie about why he had them. I've also saw him flirting with other women on social media and following women who only post thirst traps and sexual things. He says it doesn't mean anything and he doesn't want them, but I don't believe him. So anyway, I decided to make a social media page and use an AI edited pic, it's working. I started following him a week or 2 ago. All I said was, hey, and he wrote back, hello, good morning, love, how are you? He is very friendly and not like someone who is in a relationship. He asked a lot of questions and he was engaging a lot with me. He asked for my number after just a couple of hours. Oh, damn. And I can't believe how easy he is. I don't know this man at all, and I want to curse him out so bad, but I'm just keeping my cool. He is asking me if I want to call him tomorrow after asking for a pic. He said the AI generated girl is beautiful and he wants to know more about her. He told her he was single. Yo! I gave him a number from a text app. I asked that when he asked for my number and he said he was single, he is a lying, cheating jerk, and I'm not going to make him think he is the man. Oh, damn. Let's see. Let's see. I'm not going to make him think that he's the man. And after that, ghost him after telling him, I never thought he was attractive. I am going to crush his soul. Wow. Damn. I mean, granted, she was right. He was a fucking cheater. All right. Granted, because, you know, a lot of times I kind of vouch for the whole thirst trap thing. Like, look, man, there's thirst traps for girls. There's thirst traps for guys. You look at them every once in a while. It's a thing that happens. It is what it is. Okay. I just don't really take online shit that serious, if I'm being honest with you. Now, if you're talking to a person that does have the means of actually, you know, reciprocating messages to you and stuff like that, most definitely. And she had all the evidence right then and there. And I say good on her, man, because he needed to be brought down a peg, if I'm being honest with you. That dude is fucked up. I can't believe he was sitting there and he was easy. He was easy with this girl. He was just like, oh, yeah, what's up, baby? How's it going? This is not like, dude, you done fucked up big time, bro. So, hey, sucks for him, bro. Sucks for him. And I don't think she's the asshole. Not one bit. She catfished the fuck out of that dude. And then the fact that he couldn't really tell it was an AI chick, like, come on, bruh. You could tell he was just looking to grab anything. He was just like, anything that's out there, I need it. I want it. You know, like he was just so thirsty. Like he didn't have a glass of water at home. Like, what are you doing, bro? Man, ladies, you tell me, you know, what would you do in the comments? Would you catfish your man if you knew he was a little bit of a cheater? And if you would you crush his soul? Let me know, because I'd love to hear those comments. Like I said previously, I listen to all the comments, all right? I'm down there in them comments. Even on the TikTok clips, I like them all. I like all the just to let you guys know, hey, I'm in there. I'm reading them. I'm seeing them. But that's going to go ahead and end today's juicy episode. The thread was super funny. You know, that is some crazy stuff. Love is Blind. I loved watching the show. You know, I've always wanted to kind of talk about the show. And now that I kind of have this podcast platform, I can actually do that. And that's super awesome. So, this show is actually being shot before episode, I believe, 40 and 41. So as of right now, Spotify has over 500 downloads, and I want to thank you guys so much for that. Huge thing. You guys just keep blowing my mind every week. You know, I look at my stats and I look at everything and I'm just like, wow, you know, we are eclipsing, I believe, 300 followers on TikTok for right now. That's awesome. You know, we're moving and grooving with that. I see you guys commenting all the time and following and liking and all that stuff. Amazing. Please keep the support coming. Please don't stop that support. YouTube is getting there. I've been noticing a little gradual growth within YouTube. And, you know, if you guys can, you know, support the show on Patreon, $3 a month. You can send in as many scenarios as you want, as well as exclusive episodes every Friday. I have not missed a Friday yet, as I have not missed a Tuesday nor Thursday. I don't plan on to, and I hope that I can continue to give you guys juicy scenarios and commentaries and all kinds of good stuff on all that we do here on this show. We're starting to get into hour-long content because we're on this new system. This new system is working out beautifully to where I get to share videos with you guys. You know, I'd have, you know, better, you know, recording and stuff like that. We have, you know, different camera angles and all this kind of cool stuff. So the show's only going to continue to get better. We're only going to be looking at juicier situations because we've had a lot so far. To look forward in the future, we do have an episode with my best friend on there. I hope you guys watch that one and, show him a little love on that episode. He was super nervous to get on the show, and I'm glad that you guys did that. The episode with my dad, the high IQ conversation that we had about masculinity and all that kind of stuff, that show has actually been doing really well, and I appreciate you guys so much for that. That was an episode I wanted to do for so long, and, I appreciate that you guys were loving that he was on. That's awesome. You guys are showing awesome support. But other than that, without further ado, man, I will see you guys on Thursday. Peace.